Welcome to the bunker.
Preppers, survivalists, off-gridders, homesteaders, and the like. Welcome to Top's Bunker, a podcast for preppers. Email shtf@topsbunker.com, website topsbunker.com, YouTube Top's Bunker podcast channel, and of course X and Instagram. Please check the show notes in your podcast player for a link to help support the show. There you'll find valuable products and gear and extra info on this episode. We'd love for you to go over to the Top's Bunker podcast channel on YouTube and click the subscribe button. We're trying to grow that channel and could really use your support. You can listen to all the podcast episodes and check out some videos as well. No membership required, 100% free, and all we ask is that you subscribe to the channel. Also, please visit and join Top's Bunker Facebook group. You'll love the interaction with other preppers and like-minded folks. I want to thank y'all for joining us. We got a great show for you. Guys, you can feel the tension building. Prices going up and coming down. Systems like Congress drag on, stall, and even stop. Government secrets, big pharma scams, stolen elections, and fake news. For too many years now, people have become way too comfortable pretending that it's all good, that everything's fine. I hope so. I do. But hope is not a plan. Hope is an emotional state of mind. We hope for the best, but we plan for the worst. Remember that. Tonight, we're stepping into that world where hope plus planning equals readiness with return guest Christina Bowers, business owner, realtor, mother, wife, and homesteader. Hands in the dirt, eyes wide open, faith-driven, and no excuses. She's managing her home, raising her young family, producing her own food, all while navigating the modern grind at the same time. That's the kind of pressure most people try to avoid, but not her. She leans into it. Let's welcome Christina back to the show and see if we can get her to tell us how she does it.
Was I on the cruise?
I think you were out in the woods.
Yeah, I think you were out in the woods.
Getting wet and stank.
Out there doing those things.
Nice.
All right, so we are talking with Christina Bowers. We've had her on once before. Great guest to have, real estate agent. And I can't wait to talk about real estate again, but that's not tonight. Tonight we're talking about homesteading because she is a homesteader. And first, we're going to welcome Christina. Christina, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We love it. Buddy, you wanted to go over some stuff with her tonight about her homesteading, which I would like to get into as well. I know she touched on it on the last episode, but that was a long time ago. Let's refresh everybody's brains. Christina, you started, you grew up in homesteading, didn't you?
Yes, my dad, he was a little crazy over chickens. So he had about 50 chickens. We had some horses. He lived on he has 15 acres.
Oh yeah. Plenty enough for a homestead. Way more than enough. And 50 chickens, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of chickens because I got a lot of chickens. I don't even have anywhere near that many chickens. I got too many chickens.
Yeah, it just starts with two. It's the gateway. Chickens are the gateway drug to homesteading.
Yeah, that chicken math adds up fast.
Chicken math.
Is this a chicken math issue?
Well, yeah, and you can even, you know what? It is true because number one, chickens are cheap to buy, easy to raise. You will fall in love with them. You get your eggs. Of course, they're not free. They're never free. And like Annette once said, I think on Dirty Garden Hose, she said, didn't she say they're the most expensive free eggs you'll ever have? So, yeah, that's why everybody does it. You get into that, and you start doing it very, very on the cheap. And then next thing you know, you got more and more. For us, I think we started with 20. We bought 21. There was 20 hens, one rooster. We ended up with 23 or 24. We had a couple get killed off to predators, and then the following year we went and bought 10 more, plus another 20 guineas, plus another 4 turkeys. And of course, the hatchery added on a few. So we ended up with somewhere in the high 30s. We had another loss or 2 from predators. It happens. It's totally natural. And and also from sickness, 1 got sick. But and now we put a bunch of the guineas in the freezer, and we've been eating them, and they're awesome. But we still got a bunch left. So I think now we're up into the like mid 30s right now, and it's a lot to take care of.
You got any ducks or geese yet? I mean, that's the next step. Pheasant, quail, what else?
No, not happening. Nope. In fact, I said to Rhonda, I'm like, hey, maybe we'll get a couple more guineas since we ate. We put 10 in the freezer. We still got 1 left. And she's like, no, we're not getting any more, which was unusual because usually she's the one who wants to get all the the animals. So no, I got plenty to do with my bees. So
Yeah, we have 2 Sebastian geese, and I have a giant white turkey. He was supposed to be used for eating, but we became friends, so I can't kill him now. That's going to be one of my weaknesses if I ever try to raise anything for meat. Is they became my friends, and then I'm like, I can't kill my friends.
Never name your meat.
Christine, isn't it interesting about turkeys? Because everybody thinks they're like, they kind of are kind of nasty and really kind of ugly looking, but they're not. I mean, once you get to like make friends with them, we got Tom Holman. That's one of our males, and that's what we call him because he's a brute. He goes around just busting ass. And then we got Biggin, who's our big gray one. And then we got a couple of females. But you all of a sudden you become friends with them, and like they follow you around, they hang out with you. It's weird.
Yeah, we have a turkey named Blanco, and he only likes me. He absolutely hates my husband. As soon as he gets an eyesight of my husband, he'll start making these crazy noises and go there to attack him. So I have to keep him locked up if my husband's outside.
Is that right? Wow.
That's why I have a personal vendetta against turkeys.
You do.
I do.
I think you once called them the nastiest animals in the woods.
Well, they're not super smart, but they can see super well. And it's amazing how when you, yeah, oh yeah. I mean, they do hear pretty well, but their eyesight is insane. But it's amazing that these simple birds that will literally hump a plastic decoy can outsmart you like every single time. Every single time. You can't even lock eyes with them because they'll see you.
Yeah, that is true. And but I'll tell you this though, our hens are finally laying eggs because it takes a while. It takes like 18 months or 2 years, something like that. And our hens are both laying eggs now. They lay 6 eggs on the first day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and they lay 1 egg every day after. So and they're big, they're gigantic. You should see the eggs are huge, and like they're super hard too. Like you try and break them like you normally would to crack them open. Very difficult. It's kind of like use a knife, but very tasty. I mean, honestly, they taste exactly like chicken eggs. You're just bigger.
I've tried to eat my geese eggs just as scrambled eggs. I didn't like the taste, but they're really good to bake with. They're the best ones to bake with.
Oh, are they also big like turkey eggs?
They're pretty big. Yeah, they're probably, I would say, like double the size of a regular egg.
So why did you get geese? What was the whole point of that?
So I have Sebastian geese. They're white, and their feathers end up, they can't, well, obviously they can't fly or anything, but their feathers, they turn into like ringlets at the bottom, and they have these long trains. They're just for looks. I like a lot of my stuff when we go over my garden stuff. You'll notice like a lot of my stuff is also just for aesthetics too, because I just need a place to like run away and decompress sometimes. And I don't want to leave my house, so that's like the best place is around my animals and stuff, and I like pretty things to look at.
Yeah.
So they're not really useful in any other way besides maybe their eggs, and they're really good guard dogs. Like most of the time, and if any predators come nearby, they're loud, they'll start honking. My turkeys are really good bodyguard. Between my turkey and my geese, if something physically tries to attack them, I'll either hear it or the turkey will try to attack it, and the geese will be loud. It's like a walking security system for my chickens. And it deters hawks too.
Do they see the hawks as well as like turkeys do?
I have a ton of hawks at my house, and also have some turkey vultures, and I've never had any of them try to fly down and get my chickens because my geese and my turkey are always just right there with them. I think they're afraid of them.
Yeah, hawks are afraid of crows or anything that looks like a crow. So they say get black chickens. But I mean, who wants just black chickens? That's boring, because they won't attack them. But once you get a couple of turkeys in your yard, it's really, we have hawks flying everywhere. They're always out there, and they're giant. They're got to be at least 6 foot, wide, wingspan. But the thing is, when they get ours, and it's very, very rare, they get him in the woods, because we're surrounded by woods, and our chickens will go out into the woods, and they cover the entire property. Then they come back. So they usually get them in the woods. I'll find, when I'm missing a chicken, I go looking for it. I'll find like a wing, sitting out in the woods. So do you have any other anything else besides fowl, animal wise?
No, that's all I have right now. My property is only partially fenced for livestock. That is on my hit list, but my garden was the most important. I do want to get horses and maybe like a donkey or something, but mainly horses for my kids. But I just like my garden is the most important thing for me right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, when you just start talking about, large, livestock, like the 4-legged kind, you got the fences cost. It's an expense, man. It's a huge expense, because that's what we're looking into. It's easy to get the, sheep or a donkey or horses. Anything like that. No, actually, horses aren't very cheap, but you can get these things fairly inexpensive. But building the structures, that's, you have to have infrastructure for these animals. All right, so let's jump on to the garden part of the homestead. Did you know? We know that you got a garden. We're going to talk all about it. Did you know anything about gardening before you built your garden and started your little homestead?
Yeah, so my mom, she had these huge elephant ears when we were growing up. We lived in the city, and she had all these flowers, these gigantic elephant ears, and I'd watch her water them and stuff as a little. And then once I moved in with my dad, I was about like teenage years. I moved in with him, and he has a huge garden. His garden's about, I would say, 500 square feet, maybe more. He's a really big garden, so I would help him, and he would show me the best way to put everything and what things I should put next to each other. And we would always argue because I'd always want to plant before Easter, and he's like, "You never plant before Easter. I promise you, there's gonna be a freeze." So every year he would slowly teach me through error. Sometimes he'd let me. He's like, "Go ahead and plant your plants," because he would have his, and I would have mine, and then mine would die from frost because I did it too early. And he's like, "I told you so." So I had to learn a lot of lessons the hard way. I'm still doing life that way.
They always say don't plant until Easter, but I mean, it's almost 80 degrees out right now. And I've checked my forecast. I'm not supposed to plant until the 15th of April, and it's still just basically the middle of March. And it's too nice. I checked the forecast, a week and a half out, we're looking at 70s, 80s, and even 91 degrees is forecasted for sometime in the next week or so. So I don't know. I'm going to start my cold weather stuff. I'm going to start planting. The onions were supposed to go today, but I couldn't get to it. But I'm going to probably put those in tomorrow. But there are some cold weather stuff I'm going to do right now, and everything else is indoors.
Yeah, I'm going to start planting now. I think winter's over for us here. Hell, it's supposed to be 95 or something tomorrow here. So
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. I mean, we're starting to water already, so which is.
I mean, I get 80s and high 70s in March, but 90s, wow.
Yeah, it's something. I don't know. Who knows what's going on, but it seems like about every 2 or 3 years there's an early spring that comes. But we don't really have the 4 seasons here. We have it's basically it goes. We have 2 weeks of fall and 2 weeks of spring, and that's it. It goes from summer to winter overnight. So
are you pretty far? Are you pretty close to where Christina's at? I know you guys are in the same state.
Yeah. We're fairly close, but I would
same
say,
weather.
Yeah, same weather pattern definitely. But
yeah, and Jeremy's got a completely different pattern.
Oh man, yeah, Jeremy's had some challenges here.
What state is Jeremy in?
He's in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
He's had a tornado one day, next day snow. Well, he didn't get the snow; it was further north, but yeah, he's in the same zone as we are. I think it's 7B. So
he's a little more south because I'm in 6B. I'm a little more north than you guys are. So that's why I'm saying 91 is crazy for us right now. Normally the spring in Missouri is just, we're not in spring yet, but it's usually unbelievably beautiful. It's like 40s and 50s in the morning, and it's 70s every single afternoon, and it's just perfect.
Well, you just had snow, right? You had a snow.
Last week we had snow, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, Sunday here it was 40 something degrees. I mean, it was freezing. My plum tree and my peach tree, they're already flowering out. And I'm sure they're having emotional whiplash right now because I'm scared to death that if it gets cold one more time, I'm going to lose. It's going to push back my plums coming this year.
You know, you make a really good point, Christina, because if they flowered, did the flowers die or did they stay on?
So 50-50, half of, and it was so windy. It was so windy, like they were having a travel advisory. The truckers on the highway on I-40 across Oklahoma were getting blown over. I think they said there was like 70 to 80 mile an hour winds. We have a lot of trees at our properties. We have 5 acres worth of trees in a creek that goes through most of it. And so I have like a smaller section for my garden. I'm moving my garden, but a smaller section for my garden. And yeah, the wind just blew all the flowers off, and then the frost got the other part. So it's partly like 1/3 flowers left.
I can actually validate that the pollen is out right now because my allergies are going crazy.
You should see what happens here in North Carolina. We call it the yellowing.
The yellowing, yeah. Everything turns yellow and orange, right?
It is, and it's just begun, and it's bad. Like it gets bad. You can actually see the pine trees explode with pollen.
Yeah, we have Bradford pears here. Not Bradford pears. What's that? Is it Bradford pears? They're
the worst. The builders use them.
Yes. Oh my God. I guess they get them by the dozen or something. They're cheap.
Well, they get the beautiful white flowers.
They're the cheapest trees to purchase, but they stink. They don't smell good, and the pollen just drives your sinuses crazy.
Well, yeah. So I know spring's here when they come up. When you see Bradford pears, and I love it when they come up in bloom, and then here comes the winter because it kills the smell. It usually kills the trees, and I hate them.
Well, South Carolina is initiated. It was several years ago when they started, but they're trying to eradicate the Bradford pear. The Bradford pear is actually a parasitic plant.
They're the worst.
Yeah, and they smell like absolute dumpster juice. But the pollen latches onto other hardwood trees, and I don't know the science behind it, but essentially that tree becomes a Bradford pear. It's a non-fruit producing tree, and it attracts this type of fly because of the stink that they put off. But they're actually a parasitic plant, and South Carolina has been trying to eradicate them for years.
Well, they need to be gone. That and the Western red cedar. Those two things Oklahoma is full of them, and they just need to go away because we're burning up still. We've had about 3 or 4 weeks of, we call it wildfire season, which is in the spring and the fall, and it needs to go away.
Have you guys ever heard of a fruit cocktail tree?
Oh no, never have.
Did somebody say cocktail?
Let me blow your freaking mind. Fruit cocktail tree, dude. I just bought 2 of them off of fastgrowingtrees.com. So what they do is they graft probably 3 or 4 different types of trees onto one tree. So I bought 2 fruit cocktail trees, and it has apricots, it has peaches, and it has, I think, plums. I'll have to look. I'll send you the link that way if you want to upload it underneath for the comments. But it's grafted. Yes, 3 or 4 different types of fruits. They can't guarantee which ones I'll make it. I think there's like 4 altogether. And then I also bought a 4-in-1 apple tree. So 4 different types of apples in one tree. And they mark the branches for the apple trees. And then I got a 4-in-1 cherry tree. I just bought all these like 2 months ago. So this freeze really freaked me out. And I am experimenting with them. So I will let you know how these go. But
did you put them in the ground already?
Oh yeah. They're already in the ground. They're rated for 7B zone, so they should be okay. But yeah, I'm super excited for those because I already have a peach tree, an apple tree, and I have a pear tree that's already established, and a plum tree that's already established. So we got plenty of things to pollinate each other, but they're self-pollinating, and they should help my other trees start producing more.
I didn't know that was even possible, but I saw somebody on YouTube grafting a lemon branch into an apple tree, and it was living. I couldn't believe it. It was actually living.
A lot of your apple trees are actually developed from grafting. Like growing just a straight up apple is actually kind of difficult.
And I will tell you something else. The fastgrowingtrees.com that you mentioned, be very, very careful, because there's another company out there called fastgrowingtrees.something. I'm not sure exactly what it is. It's a scam site. All they do is take your money.
Oh,
They don't send anything. We learned the hard way last year.
oh no.
Yeah, we found out that fastgrowingtrees.com, when you're talking about, is actually a good one. Rhonda
Yeah.
bought a beautiful lemon tree from them, and it's just gorgeous. But we tried it again, but I guess we got the mock company or whatever it is. Gotta be careful.
Lots of scams out there.
Fastgrowingtrees.temu or something.
Hey, Christina,
Mhm.
let's talk about your garden. So, first of all, what is your favorite spot in your garden?
So I'm completely moving my garden from last year. I had it in my backyard. I had raised garden beds in these metal water troughs. That's for livestock. I just drilled some holes in them and did all the things to make sure it drained properly. Because one year I got pregnant, and I was just gardening in the ground, and I was about 8 months pregnant and got stuck on the ground. I couldn't get up because it was too big, and it was like the middle of July. Um, and so my husband wasn't home, and so he teased me, and I ended up getting up after a while, but still, it's pretty scary. I could have totally crawled back to my house. But after that, he's like, "We need to get you raised garden beds." So then I moved towards the metal water troughs, and they were okay, but they just got so hot, and you have to use like a specific type of soil because they're raised, and I just didn't like it. You have to water them too much, and it's just too much. So this year I'm moving all my garden to the other side of my property. My dad's going to be not happy because I'm like, bring your bobcat over here and help me. But my new garden, I just bought an 8x12 greenhouse, and this thing is freaking badass. So it's got the polycarbonate windows. It has a water hook in it, water hookup in it.
Oh, nice.
It has a full electrical package, which includes like plugins, a light at the top. It's got a thermostat for like an exhaust fan, so if it gets too hot in there, there's an automatic one that goes up, like a little window that goes up. It's a temperature controlled, not electric controlled. And then I have an additional one on the other side that if it gets too hot in there, it'll just suck the air out and start creating a breeze in there. And it
Man,
also has like
nice.
cross breeze windows. And then it has a another thermostat for a heater. So if I plug in like a little heater to keep it warm in there, if it gets below a certain temperature, that heater will kick on and it'll keep anything that I have in there nice and toasty. So I'm like freaking in love with that. I just moved that over to my new garden spot. And then the total square footage on my new garden is about like 1,900 square feet. It's pretty big.
Yeah, you know what? I should have been a realtor. Man, that's nice.
No, no.
That's you sell a house, buy a greenhouse.
Yeah,
Sell a house, buy a tractor.
that's true.
No, really though, I'm jealous. I see those things online, and I'm like, oh, I would love to have one of those, but so much money. You got to pull that trigger. It's tough.
It is. It was expensive. It was like $3,800, and they bring
Right.
it and put it down and everything. But the company who made it is based in South Oklahoma City, and they're called Big Creek Nursery. And I've been looking for greenhouses for a very long time, and some of them are so cheaply made. But these guys, they all the extra gadgets are in there, and it felt like it was just a little bit more expensive than the ones that you're like, gosh, if a wind comes through here, that sucker is gone, and this one's sturdy. So I'm really happy with purchasing it from them.
The cool thing about that company, I'm familiar with them as well. They they build a good product, and a lot of people I know that have the hoop houses and the 30 by 100s and the industrial size stuff, they're the ones putting them up. So yeah, they stand behind their work, and as I said, many times before, you buy once, you cry you cry once. So it's one of those, the little extra money you spend is well worth it. You can
Yeah.
save money by doing it yourself, but unless you really know what you're doing,
Or you could do
it's
what I did and buy a cheap one and frame it out and make it the most sturdy thing that's in your
well,
yard.
not everybody's like you and can build Fort Knox. You overbuild a lot of things, but it's cool though because your stuff it'll last. But man,
I was out
when
there
you showed us those
today.
pictures. You showed us those
Yeah,
pictures. I was like, holy shit!
yeah. I was out there this morning, and it's been cold the past couple of nights and mornings, and I went out there, and I was like, "Freaking hell! I got to take off my sweatshirt. It's hot in here. It was so freaking hot. It's ridiculous."
Yeah, I'm going off of Jeremy's note. I'm taking my little Temu greenhouse, hoop house that I've got. And I'm going to throw down some stone walls on the side, sliding glass doors on one side, air conditioner. I'm going to have the whole thing. It's going to be beautiful. I'm going to put one of those chairs in it that you can recline way back. It's got, massaging vibrations in it, going all the works, man. I'm taking it Jeremy style. So listen, you got the raised beds, and I agree with you on it. I love the raised beds because it saves my back. For you, it was pregnancy. For me, I'm old. It's my back. But I chose not to because, damn, if you don't need a lot of dirt, and I mean a ton of dirt to fill those things. Now you can put, logs and different things down the bottom, but you still got to fill those things. And like you said, watering is a whole other thing. You put the water in, and it's like it goes right through them. So what's the benefit of having those things?
Yeah, I'm moving away from them unless I want to do like some cutesy flowers that's maybe in the shade. My new ones are going to be slightly raised, but they're going to be based off the ground. They're going to be the 4x8 raised beds with the cedar 2x6s. That's what I'm going to start doing. I do have some extra dirt around my creek I can pull that leaves have just been setting and decomposing, and my chickens go in there and they mull it over, so it's got a lot of great stuff over there. I'm going to take and move over to my garden. But I utilize my animals a ton inside my gardens. Whenever I'm opening my garden up or shutting it down, I always bring my chickens in. So whenever I'm shutting it down, I let my chickens come in. I let them free reign everything except for like your perennials. You're going to want to put like a bucket with a rock over it so chickens can knock over a bucket. But I bring them in and they just, they eat whatever's left over and they turn the soil up and, they poop in there and it's really good nitrogen for your soil. And then I go and I put back over like either some leaves, I got a ton of trees at my house, leaves, or I put hay over there for the winter time because I don't really plant a whole lot in the wintertime. That's something I'm looking to change. I just don't know much about it yet, rotating my crops for the wintertime. We do like lettuce and carrots and, stuff like that, but nothing hardcore. I'm still learning. And I also bring my geese in during the springtime and they'll kind of go and they mainly only eat the grass that's coming up around the areas I don't want to weed eat. They're like perfect. They're little gardeners. They'll come in and they'll clip all your grass trimmings, and then they will, any soft weeds that you have, they'll eat them right up. You just got to keep them away from like your grapes and your berries, and because they'll eat all of them. But besides that, they're a great asset. And then my turkey, he is not allowed in. He's a terrorist. He will just eat. He just pecks at everything. He ruins everything. So he throws a fit. When he can't come inside, he kind of gobbles and paces the outside. He can take care of that, but he's not allowed inside my garden anymore.
How tall is your perimeter fence on your garden?
So I have my fencing. Let me see. I wrote it down over here. So my fencing, it's like a three panel fencing with some netting behind it, like the metal netting. What is it called?
Oh, like hardware cloth.
Yeah, kind of like that to keep any rabbits and everything out like that. I have that, and then it goes up. It's about probably almost 5 feet tall, and then I have an additional it's kind of like the pergolas have like the crossbar over the top and they have like the little craftsman style little.
Oh yeah.
So I have something like that way deer can't jump in there as well, because I have a ton of deer at my house, so my chickens can't really get in. I keep them locked up majority of the time because we have so many raccoons and possums in our creek, but the turkey's not allowed in, and then I just rotate my other fowl in to help me clean up.
But you have dogs, don't you? I'm sorry, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Yep. Because with the dogs, you shouldn't have your deer coming anywhere near your garden.
Oh no, like my dog, he's a princess. He does not stay outside. He lives inside the house. He just goes outside to use the bathroom. Like he's a long-haired German Shepherd, so he don't know the hard life. He thinks he's a person.
No,
he thinks he's one of my kids.
Because we had deer like coming up to the front door our first year here, and as soon as we let the dogs out and they started making that their own territory, you can't find the deer anywhere around the house. You got to go out into the woods to find them. So, but no, what's funny is I've got a 4 foot high fence. It's just a metal fence. There's nothing fancy about it with T-posts. It's so funny because I did the same thing this year. We opened up our garden at the end of the season to let all the birds in. They flooded that thing and just ate everything down to the ground. And they've been tearing it up all winter and crapping all over it and all that. What's so funny is that they can fly over a 4 foot fence. They just don't. It's like they look at it. They look like it's a barrier, but they could fly right over it if they wanted to, but they don't do it.
You talking about your chickens or your guineas?
No, the chickens, guineas, and turkeys, if they wanted to, they could fly right over a 4-foot fence, no problem. All of
Oh
them,
yeah,
but they
for
none
sure.
of them
Mine
do
will.
it.
Have you not removed their flight feathers?
No, because they roost in the trees. We have a roost for the wintertime in the run, and that's where they go
That's
now. But
crazy.
all last year, the guineas and the turkeys roosted up in the trees
Oh, mine would get snatched up at nighttime.
right above the garden, but they don't go in for some reason. They don't go in there. It's weird. Buddy, you got anything for Christina on her garden?
Yeah, I'm very interested in what she's planning and what she's planning for the spring and the summer, maybe even the fall in her beds and the greenhouse too. I'd like to really dive into the greenhouse. I don't know. I love greenhouses, and I have friends that have them, and they grow year round. So um, I'm just interested to see what she's got going on.
Well, I went full crazy on setting this greenhouse up. I added a 300 additional feet of water lines, 3 exterior faucets, frost resistant spigots out there, so I don't have to drag. I don't like watering. I don't want to drag my garden hose everywhere.
You have an internal irrigation system?
Yeah, I'm setting one up. So my well, so I have my well and then my greenhouse and then further down is my shop. So I connected all of them to my wells. Like if I'm going that far, I might as well take it to my shop too and do something there later. Um, but yeah, I connected all the water to it, and I have 3 additional spigots inside my garden, and then I'm going to do those irrigation drip lines where you kind of set them out in like 6-inch little squares. You know what I'm talking about? Where you can connect them and they can slow drip. I do not like watering. I go on vacation a lot. You can't trust family members or neighbors to like water your things correctly. They always forget. And so once I'm finished, I'm going to have that set up as well. I just moved over there. I got me a like a yarn line out with some stakes so I can place where I want to put my garden beds. But I'm planning on this year. I love tomatoes, cucumbers, red and yellow bell peppers, potatoes, okra, and then when it gets a little colder, your carrots and your lettuce and stuff like that won't get so burnt up when it's hot. I like planting those. I have a ton of herbs. Rosemary is my favorite because it's the hardest thing to kill, and you can use it you can make like little potpourri soup things in your house where it just makes your house smell good. You put rosemary and some cranberries and some orange slices in there, and oh my gosh, it'll make your house smell good for days. Or you could put your rosemary in there when you're cooking your steak. So I'm doing stuff like that, and I have all my apple trees and all my different types of trees. And then on the southern part of my garden, I'm adding like a small vineyard, like a micro vineyard. It's not anything like huge or anything. It's not super impressive, but I'll have my red grapes and green grapes. Those are my kids' favorites. Everything I'm planting is something my kids love because that's going to be our outdoor classroom. I homeschool all my kids, so being able to use your kids as free labor and being able to educate them at the same time is like the best.
So, whoa! You got some child labor thing going on over there,
right?
Oklahoma's got some pretty lax rules out down there, so I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Growing up on a homestead myself, we were the labor. Sometimes if you wanted to eat, you had to go out and pick. Maybe pull weeds, whatever it was. But
it's so good for homeschooling and like our kids. So like reading, they'll help me. My kids are they're about to turn 5 and 6, and they have like basic reading skills, and we practice math and stuff too. But reading the seed packets, labeling the plants, like following simple instructions, it's like so critical. Because they're reading without they're even realizing it. It's practical reading, not just books. And then we do, math as in like counting the seeds and measuring the spacing so they get their rollers out and figuring out the rows, and they're doing math constantly, but it's figuring out how many plants to put in a bed. And then we got that even covers science, or plant life cycle, soil health, good and bad bugs, how the weather impacts our garden. They're learning science just by being out there, watching how the seeds turn into food and seeing the bugs and figuring out which ones help and which ones don't. And then you're instilling responsibility and work ethic because they start taking ownership over their plants. They start getting serious about it, and they water them, and they collect the chicken eggs, and they help harvest, and they have little responsibilities. And it also teaches them patience and delayed gratification. That is so important for right now, because these kids, they're on their iPads and they're just instant all the time. And so they don't have no delayed gratification. And so that's super, I feel, hard to teach nowadays. I don't let my kids have an iPad. Like, no, they get to play their PlayStation little games every once in a while. But they're learning patience in a real way. When you plant something and you just don't get it the next day, you have to wait, you have to take care of it, and then you get a reward. And then they're also learning problem solving and connecting to their food, connection to their food and nutrition. The garden isn't like extra for us. It's like part of how we raise our kids, and they're learning reading, math, science, but more importantly, they're learning how to live and survive. So if something crazy happens, they're going to be like a part of keeping the whole system together. As in prepping, prepper's life, we want everybody to have some type of function. You can't freeload. You have to be of some type of help. And our garden that's the main reason I wanted the garden. Is I had a lot of connection with my mom and dad gardening, and I think, God, what a great way to educate somebody and get extra tasks done at the same time.
Nice.
Well, I think that's very vital in today's society. I think that I've lost some of my patience. There's certain things
I was
I will
thinking the
not
same
plant.
thing when she was talking. I was thinking the exact same thing, buddy. Go ahead.
Man, there's things I will not plant because it takes too long. It's like asparagus. You don't get an instant crop out of them, even that season. And every year I think, okay, garlic is another one that takes a little while. Um, I think, okay, this is the year I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it in a corner of the bed somewhere where I'm going to forget about it. I finally did it at one house. I did some asparagus, and I moved. And I was so pissed because, a year and a half later, I was going to have a crop, something to show for it. And I ended up moving. So, but yeah, another thing you touched on, I think is awesome. And some of my best memories are out in the garden with grandparents and my mom. Dad, he didn't really go out too much, but we just spent time and good quality time out there in the garden, and we had something to show for it in the end. So
I didn't realize until I just heard Christina talking about that, delayed gratification. I've never heard that term before. It's fantastic, but I believe now I know that I'm suffering from it, because I'm now gardening now for 2-3 years, and I feel that. I mean, it's like I cannot wait until I planted this thing. Now I have to wait a week before it germinates, and I have to wait 3 weeks until I can start hardening it off. Then I have to wait 2 weeks of hardening it off to get into the thing. Then I got to wait 2 months before I start getting any fruit out of it. And I feel it. Now gardeners, I guess they don't feel that because they've been doing it all their life. But today's world has got us in this, I need it and have to have it right now. I've got a couple of machines down right now, and I've got parts on order, and I can't fix them, and I can't do the work I need to do with them because I can't get it right now, right this very second. I can't get the parts.
Either you or Jeremy touched on it the other night when we were recording about hand tools. No, it was Jeremy talking about bartering hand tools. Man, you almost have to have hand tools, and that's what's cool about you get a hoe, you get a rake, you get a shovel, you can get a garden weasel, you can get different things out. We talked about going out and flaming our garden.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there's things you can buy and have on hand that you don't. If it's hard for a hoe to go down, you know what I mean. I've broken a few of them, but it's up in Vegas. Yeah, I've had a couple of hoes out there that went down on me. But, oh, did I say that out loud? Oh shit! I didn't mean it like that.
We apologize, Christina, for his behavior.
No, you were fine. This is why we're friends.
You bring up garden tools and hand tools and stuff like that, but think about, so you can go to like a thrift shop or a lot of different places, and you find old, rusted, busted up looking garden tools. How easy is it to buy like a garden hoe, for instance, or a shovel, put some rust remover on it, get a new handle, you got a new one. But then think about how difficult it is to find things like a draw knife or a hand cranked drill, or those kinds of things. They're difficult to find, and when you do find them, they're usually very expensive. But if something goes crazy in the world, you're going to depend on those tools rather than, the DeWalt that you have a lot of pride in, but it's not going to work eventually, at some point in time.
There's a guy, I mentioned him the other day, that I follow online, Never Sink Farms. He's out of somewhere southern New York, maybe mid to southern New York. He's an upstate guy, but he has a lot. He sells a lot of his tools that he develops and stuff. He's a very
I've seen that guy on YouTube. Yeah,
I mean, it's all might as well be Amish. You know what I mean? Just because you're using a lot of hand tools and stuff. But I mean, even a DeWalt drill, you can put different things on it. They have different things to put on and go between your rows and stuff with the DeWalt drill.
Yeah, I've got an auger that fits on it, and like a little mini auger.
Yeah, a little rotating, surface area.
You're talking about like a tiller?
Like a little, yeah, they call it a tilther instead of a tiller, a tilther. So it just goes up an inch or two down, into the soil. But
I love how she's integrating her homestead into her homeschooling, which is fantastic. Yeah. You just hit on it. That's great, Christina.
I don't know how old y'all's kids are. Mine are small, but
grown.
Okay. Yeah, so the kids nowadays, I sound like an old lady. The kids, they just have no confidence. And, I'm raising girls. I want them to be confident. I want them to be able to do things, that they don't need a man. I'm not trying to like raise feminists or anything, like that. But, I want them to have confidence in what they're doing. And some of these kids are so afraid to even try anything because they're on their video games all day and they don't go outside and they're like see-through white. They just don't have go outside, get some vitamin D, get dirty. Learning some type of skill is just so important, especially teaching little girls at such a young age. I think it's super helpful. And it's you can really, next time you go out for dinner with your family on the weekend or whatever, watch people with kids. Even teenagers, all they are is they're on their phone. They don't communicate with people. They can't even order their own food half the time. It's crazy. And I'm like, you guys are raising adults that's going to be codependent on you. They're not going to be able to function in society. They're definitely not going to do stuff like we're doing, self-sufficient. They're gonna vapor lock and be like, oh, I don't know what to do. And maybe they can change and get on YouTube and then teach themselves how to do things. I learned a ton of things from YouTube, but you're not setting your kids up for success, and having a garden is one of the main reasons. Plus, I enjoy being outside, and it's a huge decompression for me because my job is very stressful. I deal with hundreds of thousands of dollars of people's money that, I'm responsible for making sure that I give them all the information so that they can make the best financial decision for their family, because it's going to affect you for generations. It can affect you for generations if you use your finances correctly. And you can set your kids up to where you get mailbox money from rentals, or, you make good decisions in purchasing land, and later it could be developed, or, whatever you want to do. It's our job to make sure the next generation is better, more informed, and creating those bonds, and you'll have all the family memories. And I just don't see how people don't see the win-win in that, how they don't see the benefit of just, let's put our phones down and let's spend time with our kids and let's learn something. And it's good for our bodies and it's good for our mental health. And you bring your friends over, and it's a good time altogether.
Yeah, I think we've gotten lost somewhere recently. I don't know when it was, 20 years ago, 30, but it seems like we've gotten lost as a society and as a country, that we just don't.
Technology. It comes down to technology. We didn't have this when we were kids, buddy. You know what I'm talking about. We didn't have phones. We went out and played all day.
We drank from the garden hose. We played
exactly.
until we got our 10:30 at night or 11 when parents yelled at us, to come in. But we left the house in the morning. We're on our bikes all day, the things. And it just seems like kids, they don't. I have kids that don't want to drive. You know what I mean? They're not even interested in getting a car.
And kids
that they can go off and.
Kids can't even recognize what is real food and what isn't real food anymore. Like there's bioengineered food. If you look, like, you teach your kids, my kids aren't old enough to read that well yet, but just teaching them, like, hey, look in the back of the ingredients of some of the stuff we're purchasing. It says this isn't even real food, and we're eating it when we can go to the garden and get, way more nutrients. We've created it ourselves. We have a sense of pride in it. It always tastes better when you make it, and just, it's better for your health and everything.
Do you feel like, I know your kids are young, do you feel like they are uh, appreciative of the learning experience in the garden and on the homestead, and are they getting and B, are they getting the mindset? Do you think it's getting instilled in them?
Oh yeah, for sure. They're getting something out of it. They're like, "Hey, mommy, let's go in the garden, let's do this." And whether it's they're really helping me or they're just wandering around playing with sticks. My German Shepherd, he hangs out with us. He's our little protector, and we were picking up sticks, and I'm looking over there, and my daughter and my German Shepherd are sitting around. And I'm like, "What are they doing?" And she's putting a stick in his mouth, and he's chomping it. And then she's putting another stick, and she's like, "Look, mommy, I'm getting rid of the sticks for you. Odie's helping." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's not what I meant." But so they're a
That's
team
awesome.
over there working together while I'm trying to get everything done. And then another story is, this is how I found out that my turkey Blanco cannot be in the garden. So this Liberty was about 4 and Justice was about 3. It's my daughter's names. And we were we were hanging out, and he's pecking all the berries off of our blackberry bush, and she helped me plant it. And they have my temper, so she goes in and she's like, "Hey, you can't do that, you're not supposed to eat that." Her and my turkey get in a fight. She's kicking, they're like fighting each other. She's kicking and trying to push him away, and he's not big enough to truly flog her yet. But yeah, they had a good little fight. So she's fighting for the things that she believes in. And I'm like, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Because my dad, he would just lock me in the chicken coop with the mean rooster. And he's like, "You're going to find out how to either learn how to fight for yourself with this rooster, or you're going to get beat up," and left me with the stick. I'm like, "You know what kind of trauma I have from this? I'm not afraid of birds anymore, but I will fist fight any animal if I have to, because he locked me in there, and I'm not letting you out till you figure it out." And I was like, "Great."
Christina, are you getting into like the tomatoes and the beans yet or anything like that? Have you done any kind of pre-planting?
No, I'm still getting my beds and everything built. I'm scouting for what I want to use. I'm not going to start anything from seeds this year. It's a little too late, but next year I'll probably try to start all my things from seeds and see how challenging that is, and if I have the patience and the temperament to deal with it. Because this will be my first year kind of using my Sorry, I forgot my door's open. First year using my greenhouse. Next spring is when I'll utilize it. I'm getting everything set up still, but most of the time I just go to local nurseries and I get everything. But no, I won't plant nothing until after April or after Easter, because I learned that lesson way too many times. I get my hopes up, and then it makes me mad, and then I'm even more mad because they've wasted money, and money is like a big thing for me. I'm everything I do is for a benefit, and if it doesn't benefit, I ain't doing it. So yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. Yep. I'm contemplating right now on the bees situation because I lost a bunch last year, and the one hive I got that came through winter, believe it or not, I had 4 beautiful hives, and now I'm down to 1. And my one hive, I just opened it up and inspected yesterday. It took me about 2.5 hours. It is beautiful. The queen in there is rocking. I mean, it's just completely packed with bees. So I'm very happy with that. But you're right. It's the expense is, you have to watch every dollar. And I don't care how much money you got, you're still going to watch every dollar. You gotta think about, do I want this really expensive thing over here? Or do I need these 10 things over here? And that's the balance you got to play.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you brought up the bees, because I had a question for you. So once I get my garden set up and I have all the pollinator plants established, I want to purchase a beehive, and I've been looking at the flow hives. They show that they're less maintenance, they're kind of easier to use, but they're freaking kind of expensive. What kind of beehive are you like? What kind of system are you using for your bees?
Yeah, so I use Langstroth only. That's all I use, Langstroth. I've seen the flows, and I've actually worked with them with my hands. I don't like them. There's just something about the plastic. It's a plastic beehive, and I don't know. There's just something about it. Now, I totally get the ease of it. If you're going for your production of your own personal honey, then I would say that that would be fine, because it helps you in it helps you in producing your honey and getting it out quickly, and all that is a lot less work. But first of all, they're expensive. They're made out of plastic. For me, I just don't feel like it's a real form of beekeeping. I don't know. Keep me out of the modern thing, I say. But I will say this: if you're going to start with beekeeping, become a beekeeper, you should first of all, you should definitely take a class, and there are plenty around your area. In fact, there's one really close to you guys. It's in North Texas, really far up North Texas. That's one of the ones I took, and they are fantastic. Take a bee keeping class and get yourself a cheap Langstroth hive. Start with that. And if you feel like you have to learn somewhere, you're not going to learn with the flow hives. You're not going to learn with that because they use a completely different technology. They don't use the frames and the waxing and all that kind of stuff. There's all kinds of things you have to know to be a beekeeper. You're not going to learn any of that with those flow hives. You're just not. Now, I get these beekeepers that have been doing it and have 10, 20 hives out there, and then they go and they get themselves this beautiful flow hive, and it's cool. It's a piece of technology, and it's really neat, and it works great. I definitely don't think you should start out with one, though. You need to learn beekeeping, and the way to learn beekeeping is with a traditional Langstroth hive. That's just how I feel about it.
Ooh, I am glad you mentioned the plastic because I don't use like plastic containers or anything in any of my gardening or even in my house. I try to just use like metal or glass. But I need to consider the microplastics because the way that it's built, they just go in and they put the honey into the little hexagon things that they have, set up in there, and they just twist it and they shift because they're made of plastic, and it makes it easier for it to, for you to put it in a jar. You don't have to do like any of the centrifuge and spin it to get the honey out or anything like that. But I didn't even think about the plastic. I'm glad I talked to you about that.
Yeah, well, honeybees don't sleep ever. They don't sleep. All they do is work. They're born and then they die. And I forget the length of time. It's like it's just a couple of months. They don't live for very long. Okay, your bees going into winter are not the same bees coming out of winter. All the ones you went in died. Okay, all they do is work. And when you take one of these flow hives and you subtract one of the honeybee's essential job, which is drawing out comb with wax, their bodies have wax producing parts in them. When you take that away from them, what is it doing? Like, they don't have to draw out comb when you made them plastic combs. All they have to do is go in there and figure it out and go, oh, okay, let's put some honey in here. Let's put some of this over there. You're actually taking away one of their sections of life. A honeybee is born, and as it ages, she changes her metabolism, her body changes. And as they get older, from day to day, week to week, they get different jobs. And what you're doing by having one of those flow hives is you're eliminating one of the jobs, drawing out comb, producing wax. What effect does that have on the bee? I don't know. I just don't want to. I don't want to go there. That's all.
That is that's very true. And one of the reasons I wanted to get bees, other than help, pollinate all my stuff, is there's a guy that's local to me on TikTok. I can't remember his name right now, but he let everybody know that there was about to be a huge winter storm. Like the news wasn't even talking about it yet, and he said it was because, and he was right too, because I waited. I was like, oh yeah, sure. So his bees were prepping the queen inside their hive, and I don't know anything about beekeeping yet, but he's like they were putting her more towards the middle or something. I can't remember what it was, but the way that they were prepping let him know, hey, the weather's about to make a drastic change because they're getting everything ready. They completely changed their behavior, and I was like, okay. And then not too long afterwards, we had a huge winter storm, and I mean the cold snap just came so fast. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's something else that I could teach my kids. And I learned that, because, meteorologists in Oklahoma, I don't even, how do I say this without sounding rude? Sometimes I feel like they just make stuff up. Like, they never really know. Like, we're going to have a tornado. The next day it's snowing. Like, what? Like, we're just guessing. We all just look up at the sky and wait for, like, tornado sirens or to see what happens. Like, it's a guessing game.
Look out the window right before the broadcast, and they go, oh, it's sunny today.
Your bees will tell you a lot of things. And when I was out there working with them before the winter with my bees, I was sitting around the hive and I was doing some work with the hives and getting things straightened up and everything. And I noticed all of a sudden they just started flooding in. They were just boom, 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 as fast as you can imagine. They were flooding into the hive, and I'm like, "What is going on? What's happening here?" And then I hear the thunder in the distance. They were saying, "Hey, storm is coming. Get inside." They really are amazing, and I think that everybody with a homestead since we're talking about homesteads tonight. I think everybody with a homestead should have hives. I even think people like Jeremy, he has room at his property. He should have a beehive. And they're not illegal to have. You can definitely have them. Maybe some HOAs might have a problem with them, but everybody should have a beehive. It's a great learning experience. Besides the fact that you're getting honey and it's good for you and it's delicious, and if you can sell it if you make a lot of it, but it's also good for your soul. I mean, when I'm out at the hives, the humming, the buzzing, the being with the nature work. Sometimes I don't even work with gloves on. I just work without my gloves, and the bees are being calm, and it's like being one with nature. It kind of calms your body down a little bit. That's how I feel about it.
I would love to get started with bees while we're still here, but the issue is it's not the amount of our lot. Our lot's plenty big. My biggest problem is our animals and our grandkids. So, especially my feral grandkids, knowing them, they would go over there and like start, grabbing bees out of the air. You never know what's going to happen. But I think once we finally, if we ever do get into a bigger piece of land, that's when because we've talked about it before, that's when we're going to start looking at doing those things. But I agree that, to learn the bee thing is to go with the traditional method, but those bee kits are so freaking cool, man. They're so cool. I really
So pretty.
They're great looking, and you turn the thing and it doesn't disturb the bees and the comb opens up and all that stuff. But I'd love to learn, the traditional way. I think there's probably, because I've seen your equipment, Keith, and I believe there's, some kind of startup cost with that kind of stuff unless you can find it used, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Each hive that I bought, and we can go over that at another time when we do like a beekeeping one, but each hive that I got was, not the bees, just the hive itself, ran about $150, $135, somewhere around that, what you can get it for. And I love them. They came with everything you need to have. And I'll just say this: if you're going to go with the flow hive, if I had the money right now, I would not buy them. That's just me. But if you're going to go with that there, you still need to. How do I put this? You need to understand. You need to be a beekeeper before you get the flow hive. The technology in those flow hives, okay, and then there's more companies making them now. The technology behind that is not going to make you a beekeeper. You have to learn beekeeping first, and it is hard, guys. Beekeeping is not easy. There's a lot to learn, so much to learn in beekeeping, and it's all about the tiny little tiny things that you're going to be doing with your beehives that makes you a beekeeper, and the little mistakes you make and the little advances you make and successes. Those things matter. And if you just take a technology like a flow hive and you start with that, it's kind of like, let's say you give your kid a Lamborghini. Your kid is not going to know anything about that Lamborghini except for the fact that it's beautiful and it goes fast. You give your kid, a 1965 Oldsmobile, and by the time the summer's over, that kid is going to know every single thing about that engine, because everything is going to have to be replaced and everything's going to have to be fixed and it's going to have to be worked on with their hands. Just think about it in that sense. So I say go for it if you like them, but definitely start with traditional so you learn your skills. You have to know how to be a beekeeper first.
That's a really good point.
And I think a lot of that also, like for me in particular, there would be a huge curve of overcoming latent fears that I've had since I was a kid, getting into the mom's garden and biting into a pepper and realizing that a wasp nest was inside and having wasps in my mouth stinging me.
That's gotta suck.
I'm
sorry for laughing, but
well, no, it does suck. Trust me. Getting stung in the face by yellow jackets, being in other countries, and the bees are so tyrannical that once you're stung, you got to drop your stuff and you got to go.
Sure.
And it's funny because when we were on that cruise in Panama, I was looking over and you can still see Fort Sherman and you can see the jungle training area. And I know for a fact, if you wandered into those jungles, you'd still find gear that got left behind from 30 plus years ago. You know, it's just, I, I, I have seen and experienced a lot of terrible things with bees and wasps and yellow jackets. So there would be a fear part, you know, overcoming that.
And there should be. Anytime you're working with any kind of a dangerous animal, there should be. But keeping this towards the garden end of things and not just talking about bees, it is, I'm going to tell you this right here. I have my bees, my bee yard is several acres away. It's, it's probably 500-600 yards away from my garden. But it is amazing when you're working in the garden and you see your bees flying around. They're landing on your hands, they're landing on the leaves, they're going through the thing. And you're like, those are my bees. I put those bees here. I'm the reason why they're in here making food for me in my garden. It is truly amazing.
Yeah, garden therapy is a real thing.
One of the things I'd like to circle back to is the irrigation system she has, and she's planning on it. Question I have is it the plastic drip tape, or are you doing something like a 3/4? I mean, how are you plumbing it out? Is it drip tape? Is it a box system? Is it PVC? You know, what type of system you have going?
So I'm still researching. I haven't purchased anything yet. I'm still trying to figure out my best options. I don't really like using a lot of plastics, but I mean,
Not much you can do about it.
it's not much I can do. So I'm still looking at prices, and I don't want them to be big and ugly, like, big PVC white pipes. And I'm going to have to figure out how to cover. This is also going to be like super aesthetic type of gardening. Just, I want to go out there and have a tea party with my kids and have friends over and just be a hangout area as well. So I'm still circling through some things, but I've seen they're like a soft rubber that you kind of link together. You can put caps on them. You can customize them to however you want them to be, and they're like a brownish black color. I can't remember exactly. I don't remember the brand, but I've been kind of
I
looking
know
into
what you're
those.
talking about.
Yeah, those are the ones I've been kind of looking into because they just seem. I'm not a plumber. I just sell houses. I'm not super like I can't build a whole lot of stuff. I can measure stuff. That's about it. And I'm like, ask my husband, hey, can you make this for me? And he's like, great. Or I might call my dad or whoever I could talk into coming to my house and helping me. But yeah, that it looked super easy to use. So I was like, that's for me.
Well, there's some training coming up with the irrigation for. I'll look it up and send it to you. But there's some training at OSU Extension coming up.
Ooh, yeah.
Garden drip systems and stuff, and it's just they're trying to make everybody aware of how to be more efficient. Everybody wants to aerial water things and flood things. It wastes a lot of water doing that. Drip systems are very very efficient. You can put timers on them. There's a lot of things you can do with them. It's so much more efficient that a lot of people are on city water or metered water, from municipality, and or even a well. You know, it's just more efficient for you. So
Yeah, they're very efficient. And go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were done.
I'm just more of a I think that the less water you can use, I guess I'm kind of a hippie when it comes to that kind of things, but the less water you can use, the more efficient you can be. It just helps everybody out.
Yeah, and the consistency for your crops. If you water them consistently, you don't want your tomatoes getting huge where they're ripping. You know what I mean? Because you watered them too much one day and you didn't pull them fast enough. And that's my problem is I'll get busy and then I'll water and then it just gets kind of out of hand or they'll shrivel up and I'm just like, gosh, I want to consistently do this all the time, but sometimes I work so much, sometimes I'm not even there. So if I can set this up on a timer and a drip system, or we go on vacation for like a week, I don't have to even worry about it. I know it's going to be taken care of.
That's a great thing to think about because, my job is my homestead. So I'm out there watering every day, but that's my job. But the thing is, I can imagine, being in a position where you'd have to put a drip system in, which I would love to have. And they do make those, BPA free plastics, the ones that they're a little bit more expensive, but if you're concerned about that, they do have the BPA free plastic ones. Then you can, of course, you can go on like Temu or Amazon and get the really cheap ones. I'm not sure they're BPA free. I have no idea. But that's something I'll probably be looking into too as well, is doing that. Another thing that I'm going to be looking into doing is, and I want to ask Christine about this. You said you tied your uh, water into your well system. Did you do that pre filter or after the filter in your house?
So I don't have a filter in my house. I need to get a filter. I have a water softening system, but I don't really have a filter. I've had my water tested. I probably should just. I have a filter like in my refrigerator, but
Wait, so you don't have a no? I get that, but you don't have like a sediment filter?
I don't know. I didn't have this well installed at my house. My house is built from like the 50s or 60s. So I
Okay,
just know that it's a like in-ground well. It's not one that I have to. I have a little house over it, but I don't have to keep it heated. It's the whole thing
right.
is underground enough to where it's pretty self-sustainable. But I don't know about the sediment filter. That's a good question. I'll have to ask my my well guy.
Well,
I
we
think.
just replaced. No, go ahead.
Oh
Go ahead,
man,
buddy.
I I'm pretty sure that the wells around here you have to have a sediment filter in it. I mean, it's just
It's
part
probably
of the whole
built into
system.
mine.
Yeah, part of the
Don't y'all
system.
got that
So I
red
think
clay up
you're
there?
safe. What was that?
Yeah, yeah, and well, the filters aren't going to eliminate biohazards, for that sort of thing. You have to get like reverse osmosis or that sort of thing. But your iron and all those type of things, minerals, you will probably should have filters on them. We didn't have one in our house either when we first moved here. I installed it about maybe a year after, maybe 8 months after living here, and it's just just a regular, sediment sort of filtration system, and one for carbon and iron and flavor, and also just a spin down, which is like takes out the bigger particles. And we just replaced those filters like 2 3 weeks ago. I just did the work. The filters I took off of them were hideous. They were completely just jam logged worth of sediment. And we test our water every 6 months, and if the water is perfect, there's no problem.
You probably have like heavy minerals in yours, like hard water, because of where you live. Is that
Oh
correct?
yeah, yeah. With the Ozarks, yeah, yeah, exactly. The water is absolutely clean. It's fresh. I mean, it tastes good and everything. We drank the water for, like I said, 6 8 months before we even put anything on it, and we tested it. And when you have a well, by the way, you have to test your water. Don't just think it's safe. You've got to test your water probably every 6 months. You can get some cheap tests on Amazon. They're very easy to get, very easy to do. But you want to be checking for those microorganisms. Really, really important. Right now, all of our water is going through the sediment filters and then going out, including the water going out to the spigots that we use for the garden. And I'm thinking about rerunning that water so that the water coming out of the well goes directly, well, goes also to the house through the filters, but before the filters, it gets, sent off out to the outside, so that I'm not filtering the water for the outside. And I think that'll save the life of my filters if because I water so much. The garden, I mean, I'm out there for hours watering.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up because now I'm going to have something else to research. I'm going to call my guy and be like, I need you to come over here and tell me everything.
I think if you didn't have a sediment filter, you'd know it because you would be chewing through every glass of water. I mean,
Oh, yeah, for sure. There has to be something built in with my well. I just don't have one specifically in my house. We do have a lot of calcium in our water, so I do have to have a water softener system. And we got our pump that pumps it out that's inside my house, big old blue tank. But yeah, I'll have to look into that. I should know this. You know what I mean? This is going to make me a better real estate broker. I should know this.
That's a good point, because our softener just broke down, I guess, about 2 3 months ago, and we're about to go down to Menards and get another one. But the thing is, just being not on that softener for 2 3 months, all of the glass is now like covered in calcium. The dishwasher, everything has to be cleaned with vinegar. It gets overwhelming. So depending on your area, that's something you want to think about when you're getting a homestead, or if you have a homestead, you should definitely be thinking about your water and how you're filtering it and all that.
you were talking about having a tea party in the garden with your kids. And when they're small, they're great. But wait till you have grandkids. Because our grandkids, there's a couple of them downstairs right now. One of the most feral ones, as a matter of fact. And she's now being homeschooled. And part of her assignment is actually writing about the stuff that's coming up in the greenhouse. So I love that you brought up all those points. They're downstairs right now doing homework, and they're doing the homework out in the greenhouse, writing about the bean sprouts that are coming up and the tomatoes, and we got corn and stuff that's already starting to pop up. So I think that was a great point that was brought up. I really like that.
That's awesome. I like to hear other people are homeschooling. It makes me more confident in my decision. I'm not confident, but you just, you have family members and they're like, are you sure that your kids aren't going to be, they're going to have problems socializing? Like, listen, I don't want my kids socializing with some of these kids in these public schools. I've seen these kids pretend they're cats and dogs and want to use just crazy stuff. They're not nice. They're unkind to each other. Just the way they say things. They're teaching your kids bad mannerisms. And I was like, no, I'm fine. But I love that to hear other people doing that, because it makes me really happy.
So, Christina, we talked about your garden, your homestead, your fruit trees, the possibility of beekeeping coming up in the future, your water situation. Is there anything else you could think of homestead-wise that we could discuss before we jump off?
I think we got everything covered. I'm going to do some research on a couple items, and I'm going to test out those fruit cocktail trees for you guys and let you know if they really work out well. That way, save you some space in your gardens if you have a tight spot for your prepping, and you can get 4 in 1 in one tree. That'd be awesome. So I'll do some scientific experiments for you guys and let you know if they work out well, and we can circle back again.
Hell yeah.
Buddy's got one last thing.
Here we go. Buddy's one last thing.
It's that time of year where you need to get out in the garden, take a soil sample, get it to, either do your own sampling or send it off to the extension agent and let them tell you what's going on in your garden. It's just good practice to get into. They're very cheap, if not free, for the years, depending on the extension agent and in your state. But yeah, I mean, there's no use of throwing a dart with a blindfold into a dartboard when you can actually find out what your garden needs, and it just helps the success of your garden. So get out and get that done.
Very cool. Christina, thank you so much for coming on today. Is there anything you'd like to plug while you're here?
You could follow me on Facebook or with my business page. It's Christina the Closer. That's what it is on Facebook. Follow me on there. I'm going to start a gardening one soon. I don't have a name or haven't set anything up yet, but once I do, I'll reach out and let you know what it is, and we can upload it. But yeah, right now I'm just doing this gardening homesteading thing kind of just for myself and tell my friends about it, but I haven't made any videos yet. I have been recording my whole gardening process. Buddy's like, hey, and I was like, that's a great idea. I didn't even think about it. And I could start sharing with everybody else, and we can find more friends to join our community, and maybe we can all learn some more stuff, because I've already learned so much just in this podcast. So we grow and we sharpen each other and we make each other better, and that's the best way to do it.
My prepper brothers and sisters, some people dream and stay comfortable, while others build their dreams into reality. What you heard today came from effort stacked over time. Mistakes, adjustments, early mornings, late nights. Christina chose the harder, more challenging road and kept moving. That path demands something from you. Focus, discipline, skin in the game. When you're feeling up to the challenge, don't sit on it. Plan something, fix something, plant something. Learn something useful. Cut one weak link out of your life and replace it with a skill. Momentum starts small, then it compounds. We appreciate Christina for stepping back in and bringing real-world experience to the podcast table. I know she lit my fire. I hope she did the same for you. Stay prepped, stay happy. Thanks for listening, and good night.